kind of look like Tommy from Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I haven't played much of Vice City. I'm more of a San Andreas guy, but whatever. Let's just get to the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Steve, and you probably get this question a lot, and it's, why do you waste your money on watches? Sitting in front of me, there are 3 watches, which I consider my first watch, and I'll get into that in a bit here, but these watches are what made me fall in love with watch collecting, and we'll get into that momentarily here, but let me do a quick wristwatch check. I am wearing my first luxury watch. It is my Omega Seamaster, even though Adrian from Bark and Jack would not consider it a luxury watch because it is an Omega. That's neither here nor there. I do not agree with him, but yeah, I'm wearing the Omega today as kind of like my first things. You'll see here in a second here. So my love of watches actually started with a watch I was gifted when I was around 8 or 9, maybe 10 years old. And that is this Tweety Bird and Sylvester watch. Now, this thing, the second I got it, I put it on my left hand, just instinctually, and I just started touching things around. You know, I always wanted to see my hand reach out with the watch on because it looked so cool. And from that moment on, I just absolutely loved watches. I couldn't get enough of them. The next watch I had was actually a watch from my father's restaurant. Surprise, surprise, Greek guy, restaurant, I know. But he actually had a watch that had the name of the restaurant on the dial, and the handset was a spoon, a fork, and a knife. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I lost that watch, and I'm kind of mad at myself for losing that watch. But first thing is, like I said, is this Tweety Bird watch. It's an odd watch, but when I got it when I was 8, 10 years old, I thought it was the coolest thing. Now, this specific watch I actually bought on eBay a couple of years ago. The one I had growing up was the same case and dial and everything, except for the band had vertical ridges. So going up and down the band itself. So that's the only difference, but I wanted to get this in the collection just as a remembrance of this is the watch I had growing up that I fell in love with, and I couldn't take it off. It was on my wrist all through 3rd, 4th grade, whatever it was. Now, after graduating elementary school, I didn't wear a lot of watches until about middle of high school, and that's when I bought this watch. And I guess you can consider it my first watch because it's the first watch I bought with my own money, and that is this dive-inspired Fossil. And I bet a lot of you guys have owned Fossil in the past. I absolutely love the brand. Especially growing up, I remember going to the Water Tower Mall in Chicago and buying one every single year. I would go there, and it was just my treat. I don't know why. I just like the packaging. I like the watches themselves. I fell in love with the bezel on this watch, and which probably makes me have a love for dive watches specifically. It's a tooly looking watch. It has this nice gradient blue pattern. It actually works with this shirt pretty nice. Let me pop it on. It should still fit. Let's see if it does. We'll see. Check that out. That works with this shirt really well. I wore it so loose. Look how loose it is. The crystal is also busted on this thing, probably because how loose it was and just smacking it around in doorknobs. But yeah, this is the first watch I ever bought with my own money. And then I bought my first real watch. And what does that even mean, your first real watch? Some people say it has to be your first automatic or your first luxury watch. Mine's neither of those. Now, growing up, I remember this commercial with Eli Manning, and it was about the Citizen Eco Drive and how it was powered by light, doesn't need a battery, and you have just roll the commercial.
Unstoppable. Eli Manning is. So is his Citizen Eco Drive watch. Fueled by light, it never needs a battery. It's unstoppable, just like the people who wear it.
So you have Eli Manning coming off of his championship year. Eco drive, light power, doesn't need a battery, all of these things just blasting you in the face with marketing. And I remember looking at this watch inside of a Macy's, and it was well above my price range at the time. It was like $600, $700, something like that. And then there was like a friends and family discount deal, and my friend's mom actually bought me this watch. And yeah, this is the watch I consider my first real watch, my first watch in my collection that's actually going to stay in my collection for the rest of my life. And that's my Citizen Skyhawk. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. I wore this thing everywhere. It's dead now, but I have to, take it outside in the sun. But this watch traveled with me around the world. It's been literally everywhere. I love the design of this watch. I thought it was the coolest watch ever. I remember seeing my friend's dad wear the same exact one, and we talked about it for probably like 5 minutes. And it was just cool having a conversation with somebody that you respect about watches. And for the longest time, this Citizen was my one watch collection. I wore it everywhere. I wore it to work, to weddings, dressed it up, dressed it down, and everything in between. That's why I consider this my first watch, my first real watch, the watch that's going to stay in my collection for the rest of my life. I actually sent this to Citizen to get the crystal replaced, just so I can have it look more premium, more pristine. Now, I did keep the rest of the bezels, and I didn't get it refinished because I still wanted those memories of, wow, I remember wearing this every single day here, there, and everywhere. But I wanted to have the crystal replaced just so I can really appreciate the beauty of that dial, because I think it's one of the prettiest watches out there. It's one of my favorite Citizen watches of all time. And to me, it's what I consider my first watch. So those are the 3 first watches in my collection. The other 2 are, I consider part of my collection as just like the Hall of Fame, let's call it. So with that being said, these 3 watches are the watches that made me have this passion for watch collecting. From a young age in elementary school with my Sylvester watch, to high school and getting like these very nifty designer watches, to being an adult and actually having a real watch in the collection. These 3 watches are the watches that made me fall in love with watch collecting. So please, in the comments below, let me know what the watch is that made you fall in love, or watches that made you fall in love with watch collecting. And go ahead and drop a like on this video. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget about that bell icon. If you like this video, please stick around, watch another one. And yeah, I'll leave you with that. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.